Hey, fifth grade. I miss you guys. Hope y'all are all doing really well and your families are safe. Ramadan Kareem to all our friends who are celebrating Ramadan right now. We have a lesson today about the Greek root Tele. And before we do that, though, I want to go over our fifth grade expectations for online learning. So you'll see our newsletter this week. You will see a video from all of the fifth grade teachers, and you're expected to do at least one of those videos every single day. There will still be surprise videos, and also look out for a video from Mr. Matthews about some prizes and awards if we get lots of people doing the videos and lots of people commenting on the videos. There's even word of some of the fifth grade teachers doing a TikTok if we get lots of people participating. Like I was saying, the Greek root that we're going to be talking about today is Tele, and your goal by the end of this lesson is to be able to figure out what a word means using what you know about Tele and be able to spell a word that has Tele in it. That way you can spell lots of words because Tele is a really important Greek root that we use in a whole bunch of English words. But before we get there, we are going to think back to Jackie Robinson. Remember that Jackie Robinson was the baseball player who was the first African American to play in the American Major Leagues of Baseball. And he played for, I think, 5 or 7 years. And then he retired. He had done really well in his career. And he retired and went to work for Chock full of Nuts, which is a coffee company. So he started working at this company, Chock full of Nuts, and he became kind of an important business person in the world and even had lots of contact with important people such as Martin Luther King and even the presidents of the United States. He actually started sending telegrams to presidents in the White House every now and then to tell them what he thought of the things going on in the world. So he sent telegrams, which is, we'll talk about it later, but it's kind of like a letter, something telling, a written letter to the president to give him his thoughts on some of the civil rights demonstrations that were happening in the country. You'll see that these are the pictures of the actual telegrams that Jackie Robinson sent. And if we go to the next slide, you'll see that telegrams are like mail that is typed in one place, then sent to another place, like the White House in this case, and they print it or they type it out, and then they give it to whoever it's supposed to go to. So telegrams was a way of, it's kind of like the emailing or texting before we had that kind of technology. So this was a while back when people were using telegrams. Now this word telegrams has our root tele in it at the beginning. I'm going to put a whole bunch of words that start with T on the screen, and I want you to get out a piece of paper and I want you to write down all the words on the screen that have the same root as telegram. They have the tele root. I want you to write down, pause the video, write down all the words that have tele in the word, and then I want you to circle the root. Tele is the root that we're talking about. I want you to circle tele on each of those words you wrote down. So if we think about our root word tele, it is a word or a root that means from far away, from far away. So it's a Greek root, and all of our root words are pieces of words that are used in a lot of other words. So if we find one of the root words in a word, it helps us understand what it means. So if we look at this tree picture, you can see that the root word that we're talking about is at the bottom. That's tele. Then from tele, there's all kinds of other words that have this same similar meaning of something to do with from far away. Root words also help us figure out how to spell words. So if you know one of the roots of a word, you already know how to spell part of the word if you know how to spell that root. So it helps you learn how to spell a whole bunch of words at once. It's kind of a little trick to figure out how to spell lots of words. If you look on the left side of your slide, I'm putting an example of a word that has tele in it, but it is not a word that is using the root tele. So the word on the screen is tasteless, and you can see in the middle that it has T-E-L-E. But tasteless does not have the tele root word. When we think of the Greek root tele, it's always at the beginning, and it's not a part of any other root words, like taste is a root and less is a root. So that would not be a word that uses the tele root. So thinking back to Jackie Robinson, when he sent a telegram to the President of the United States, he was sending a gram, which is just like a letter, like you would send in the mail. He was sending a gram from far away. So Jackie Robinson was somewhere else in the country. I don't know where Chock full of nuts was. Y'all look that up and let me know. And he was sending it to Washington, D.C., where the president lived in the White House. If we think about another word that uses the tele root, we can think of telescope. So telescope uses that tele root at the beginning, but the other part of the word is scope. Scope means something that helps you, it's like a tool that helps you see things. So microscope or just a scope or a telescope are all tools that help you to see something. A telescope is a scope that helps you see something from far away. So when we think of telescopes, we most often use them to see planets or stars or things in space. Sometimes people use telescopes to see things far away, like if they're on the beach and they want to see a really far away ship too. That's another way that people use telescopes, to see things from far away using that root word tele. Another example is a word that uses this base word, conference. So a conference, like you can see on the screen, is when a bunch of people meet together, they get together to talk about something specific. This happens a lot in businesses and companies where they get together in a conference room and have a meeting. Or it can be a really big conference where like teachers from all over the country come together for a teacher conference and they all sit in big rooms to talk about teacher things. Now, if we said a teleconference, what do you think a teleconference might be? Comment below what you think a teleconference could be. What do you think a teleconference could be? So a teleconference is when you have a meeting with people, but you do it from like a computer or from phones. So you're looking and you're meeting with all these other people, you're having a conference, but you're doing it from far away. So I could have a teleconference with people in Canada or Spain, and we would be on our computer or our phone talking to each other, having a teleconference, which is just a conference from far away. Now, question for you. How do you think you spell teleconference? Spell it on your piece of notebook paper. Show me how you think you would spell teleconference using what you know about our root word and conference, which is the word on the screen. Okay, now that you've spelled teleconference, I have a little story. So during this quarantine time, because of COVID-19, I've had more time to read. But I've run out of books in my house, so I needed to get some more books, but all the stores were closed. So I did something called Teleshopping. I did Teleshopping to get more books from stores. What do you think Teleshopping means? I want you to write what you think Teleshopping means on your piece of notebook paper. So pause the video and write, I think Teleshopping means... I've been teleshopping by ordering books online. That's right, teleshopping is just shopping, buying things, but doing it from far away. So one of the ways that I've been teleshopping is by going to the website of the store and looking for the books I want, and I order them online, and I can either go drive and pick them up outside the store, or they can mail them to my house. What do you think is another way that you could go teleshopping? What do you think is another way that you could go teleshopping if you needed to order something but you couldn't go into the store? Comment below one other way that you think teleshopping could happen. Comment below one other way that you think teleshopping could happen besides online or on the computer. One way that I can think of is by using the telephone. So some stores you can call them and order what you need from the store and then go pick it up in a car or walk to the store. So another way to teleshop is to use a telephone to call the store. Now let's think about telephones. Does that use our tele root word? It does. Telephone uses tele at the beginning, and people use telephones to do what from far away? What do they use telephones to do from far away? I want you to fill in the blank. Write out this sentence on your notebook paper and fill in the blank. People use telephones to blank from far away. Okay, the last question is a bonus question. I want you to think of another word that uses our Greek root tele. Think of another word that begins with our Greek root tele and write it on your notebook paper. Here's a hint. There's one really popular thing that a lot of people have in their living room across from their couch or sofa that begins with tele. Write it on your notebook paper and I'm excited to see what you come up with. Okay, that's all we have for tele. If you see tele words around or you think of another one, you can always send another message in Google Voice to tell me what other words you think of that begin with tele. Now I want you to take a picture of your work on your notebook paper and send it to the Google Voice number on the screen. That way I can check it out and see how you did. And also, I want you to look in the description of this video because I'm going to put some links to some extra learning you can do if you have some free time and you want to learn something new. One of the videos I'm going to link is this cool way to do a science experiment with a string phone. You can make your own phone to talk to someone else in another room. So check out the description for the link to that video for how to make a string phone. The other video I'm going to link is how telegrams worked. Because telegrams, that thing that Jackie Robinson sent to the president, were a really interesting and new and fancy way that people were communicating before we got cell phones and the internet and stuff like that. So it's really interesting to learn about telegrams, and it'll just make you smarter to understand how that worked and how we got to where we are and the way we communicate with people from far away. Telecommunication would be that word, right? Okay, bye guys. Stay safe. Have some fun. Be kind to those around you. I miss you. Have a great week.